All right, we are recording our first try at something new. This is the Freedom, Footprint, and Friends is the working title, something like that, which is really just to say we've been having so much fun releasing 2 episodes a week, but we realized that a little bit too late to get a second one out this week, so we've decided to try something a little more casual, a little more fun, and we're bringing our good friend Ioni. Not to say that everyone else who isn't on the show isn't a friend, but Ioni is a very good friend, and so we're going to try this kind of thing. We don't know how often we're going to do this, but whenever we don't have a second episode to release in a week, I guess we're going to try and do something like this, or maybe something with just Knut and I. Either way, this is Freedom, Footprint, and Friends with Ioni. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we actually have something to talk about with Ioni, something fresh, because Ioni and I have very recently released a video. Well, we should mention Guy Swann also. He is the guy that the literal guy that narrated the video, as usual. As you may know, me and Ioni have collaborated before on several occasions, the most famous one being the Everything Divided by 21 Million video, which changed our lives, I would say. So it's been a fruitful and delightful working relationship so far. And our latest piece is called Oppenheimer versus Nakamoto, based on the talk I gave in Riga, and we reworked the script, reworked that talk into a script, didn't we, Ioni? And then you started, and then Guy read it, and sent us the file, and then you started working on the video, and it's been out for 2 days now, I think. So can you tell us a bit more about the video, Ioni?
Sure. I just wanted to remain silent for a bit and see where you were going with this. So yeah, I even remember when we were in Riga, we had this morning walk to the venue. Do you remember when?
Yeah, we almost came too late because we took the wrong way. Ended up in some park. Yeah.
Some park going through a cemetery, I think. We were both kind of sick and we were late.
Yeah, we had such an interesting conversation. So we just lost track of everything else, as one does.
We did.
Yeah.
And then at some point along the way, you wanted to rehearse the speech, the talk that you were about to give. And I reminded you to do so. So you read it to me then. I had read it beforehand, of course. But that was sort of the point when we already began to refine it. Then you delivered it. It was a great talk. I had a great time. And I basically couldn't wait to get home to start adding visuals to your ideas. And what can we say about here's the thing, like what my job entails as a YouTuber and animator is to distill the ideas and add visuals to them. And in order to do that, I have to understand what the ideas are and sort of have this tell a story that is on top of your story. So when it comes to Oppenheimer versus Nakamoto, it's clearly divided into 2 parts. And I wanted to emphasize that. And I was very happy that you noticed that. That was one of the first things that you noticed, Knut, when I showed you the first draft. Do you remember what you said? You said that do you know what I'm referring to?
Yeah. I know the section of the video. It's when it goes to this original Ioni style, this style, this font here, Londrina Solid in blue and white and black. Yeah,
and exactly. And the cartoonish animations. And it was very great that you noticed that I had structured it with more like heavy dystopian soundscapes for the first half, discussing the atom bomb and the Oppenheimer section, and darker tones and so on. And then shifting to other types of a different type of soundscape and lighter visuals and so on. And that is part of telling the story, to sort of just add visuals that not just go with the ideas, but also to propel the story forward, not in a way that doesn't just create fluidity, but also tell a visual story.
Yeah. Speaking of that, did you? I've probably asked you this 100 times before, but forgot the answer. Did you see the Oppenheimer movie?
I did.
Yeah. And I that's
I can let me tell you about the experience. I was with a few friends, and I had ingested something beforehand that altered my experience of the of the movie.
broccoli, I guess.
Yeah, it was a form of broccoli, and it made the movie. It was incredibly immersive. I was scared for my life, and I realized that Oppenheimer was one of the most important people that have ever lived on this planet. And I was just flabbergasted by Nolan's brilliant portrayal of this historic event in our common history.
Yeah, and in right
is my short answer.
I mean, there's sort of a mini review of the movie in one screen there in our little movie. It's brilliantly acted and great cinematography and somewhat overly convoluted, which is sort of my opinion on every Nolan movie. I love them, and I love that a director like that can get so much money to do that. Because I prefer that to giving the money to some bullshit Star Wars project or something.
100%.
Yeah. So, and it's fascinating, this connection to the Barbie movie, that like those two movies.
I actually posted a tweet when I was at the movies, because they had the posters next to each other.
Yeah.
And I took a picture of that, and I said, "Which way, Western man?" And it's but that's true. That's true. You know what really, what I really enjoy about Nolan's movies, and I think this is one of his trademarks. It's, he's very reluctant to use CGI.
Yeah,
and CGI has come a long way, but it's still, it's not there yet. And I'm very happy that other directors are experimenting with it, because at some point we are going to have CGI that is just brilliant, that it works as intended. But for now, do you remember the scenes when they did a few test explosions before they had made the actual bomb?
Mm-hmm.
The effects of that are just so powerful.
Yeah, and that's why one of the reasons that Dunkirk is probably my favorite Nolan movie. I think that was kind of flawless, and it had a better flow than his other movies, I think. I like The Prestige as well. And of course The Dark Knight, but that's mostly because of Ledger's performance. So those are probably my top 3 my top 3 Nolan movies.
Yeah. The thing about Dunkirk, you really feel like you're hunted by people who want to kill you when you're in it.
Yeah.
And the soundscapes, the visuals, and the storytelling, everything just comes together so perfectly. So I think that he's one of the few directors that actually creates a piece that allows you to become fully immersed in the actual experience. He puts you in the place, apart from, say, like the Grand Budapest Hotel. Excellent movie, but that is much more of a visual journey where you stand outside of the actual creation and you behold it and you appreciate it like you do a painting in a museum.
Yeah.
But that's not how Nolan makes movies. He makes you a character in the movie. You are part of the experience, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah. Did I tell you that I had played a small part in the creation of a Nolan movie once?
Shut up. What?
Of Tenet.
What do you mean?
Tenet. So when they made Tenet, that was a costly movie to make, and I know why to a certain extent, because the shipping company
hired you.
The shipping company I was working for was hired, or they were filming in one of the wind farms south of in southern Denmark, one of the sites I was working on for a while. So some of the scenes are shot there, and then they decided they wanted to use the same boat in the Mediterranean, and it's a small, like 8-meter boat that they had to drive down to the Mediterranean with a double crew, because they needed to go the day shifts and night shifts. So it was like, normally it's just 2 people on board such a boat, and now they had 4 people fully employed and fully with full salaries. That took, like, they were supposed to get down to the Mediterranean in a little over a week, and it took like more than 3 weeks for them to get down there because of weather and stuff. So and then they shot some footage outside one of those really luxurious places like Monaco or something, and that resulted in maybe 13 seconds of actual movie in the end. It's some boat chase scene, and I think the crew ended up in the credits after the movie. The guy that employed the crew didn't, so I'm not in there. I'm not on IMDb yet.
Okay, but it's coming. He's gonna make more movies.
Yeah,
it's coming. You'll get your chance. I wonder what he has in pipeline. Like, what is?
We should orange fill him.
Yeah, he should make. Yeah, you know what I would really like to see, besides like big directors making Bitcoin movies. I would like to see big directors just incorporate, not necessarily make movies about Bitcoin, but just a world where Bitcoin exists.
Yeah, it's coming.
That would, yeah. Like I'm currently working on my first fiction piece, and it's going to be published in 21 Futures.
Mm-hmm.
It's an allegory set in medieval times about where Bitcoin is never mentioned. It's an allegory, but then I think that's going to be the prologue, and for the afterword or the epilogue, I'm considering having, instead of a medieval setting, making a similar type of allegory, but a futuristic one set in the future.
Yeah,
and
sounds like a long short story.
It is. It's well, this one is about 3,500 to 4,000 words, and it's going to be the same for the futuristic one.
Yeah, check out 21 Futures. I have a story in there as well, and it's coming out before Christmas, I think. So it's the perfect Christmas gift for Bitcoin sci-fi nerds.
Cool. Are you done with yours?
Almost. Let's say almost.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've ever written fiction, so it's been tricky.
The same. It's very tricky. Very tricky. So much to learn.
Yeah, but the thing with our videos that we make, like they are few and far apart, and that is because I don't want to make one unless I have an idea worth pursuing, and like that is good enough. And I know if my writing isn't good enough, you won't want to make the film either. So, or at least I hope so. I think we're like.
No, I would find out ways.
We try to make them better and better all the time, of course, and we try to hold ourselves to high standards when we make them. And we received a ton of nice comments on the video. I'm very happy about that.
We do, and we just accumulate small improvements over time.
Yeah. So how do we make Nolan watch our piece? Because another thing about the piece itself is that the parts about Oppenheimer are directly from the movie. I deliberately wrote that in a sarcastic tone with the good people of the U.S. government and all of that stuff. But it's about the events of the movie and not necessarily about but then again, the movie represents what actually happened in reality, but I based it all on the movie. So that's sort of a semi-disclaimer, I guess. So how do we get Nolan to see it?
How do you get Nolan to see it? Yeah. I don't know what's the Kevin Bacon number from us to Nolan?
Not that far. We know an actor now, don't we, Luke?
I don't know if he wants us to say that.
I'm not going to say more than that.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, actually, I almost forgot to insert a little bit of a plug that for our new partner. I'll call them a partner. We're in a life partnership relationship or something like that. Amber App. So Amber App is sponsoring the show now. They're our new lead sponsor. If you haven't seen our episode with Izzy that we recorded in Riga, you should go check it out. There's something else, and the main thing was we partnered with them because of Izzy and because the mission he's on has got to be good. And then we started to talk to the good folks at Amber App, and they've got a lot of exciting things coming up. At this stage, there isn't too much to reveal, but they're launching globally within the next few months, and so basically they're aiming to be the number one sat stacking and spending app on planet Earth. So that's the deal, and we're hoping to be along for the ride as we all walk towards the orange glowing light together. And that's Amber App. So that's our friend Izzy, and you're our friend Ioni. So Ioni, how has it been going to all of these conferences and getting your book out there and all this and that?
There's nothing better. It has literally, like Knut likes to say, it has changed our lives. These conferences and having a book out. What I like most is you get to have these fantastic, real and deep conversations and connections with just the best people. I've come to realize that Bitcoiners really are the coolest people in the world. Like, I did not expect that, to be honest, before I started going to conferences. But my experience has been that it's so easy to have a real conversation, a real connection that is meaningful and deep and has a lasting impact on you and your life. And that is what I like the most. And then the fact that I can sit at home, put my ideas on paper and write stuff, and then people actually read it and want to have a conversation about it. I find that's just amazing as well.
Yeah, it's the best thing in the world. Talk to Bitcoiners. Yeah. So what's next for you, Ioni? I know you're going to El Salvador, right?
I am going to El Salvador. That's in November, so I'll be there for about 2.5 weeks. And I'm giving a talk there as well. And my hope is to just meet some great Bitcoiners, get my book out there as well, and just enjoy the conference. Hopefully, I'll get to meet Max and Stace as well. I know they reside there, and it would be kind of epic to also meet President Bukele. I don't have high hopes for that, but that would be fantastic. Worst case scenario, we have a fantastic conference, and for the following week after the conference, I'll be in next to Bitcoin Beach in a place called El Tuco and just hang out there with great people and just enjoy myself. Have a look around, see what's there.
You might want to hide your tattoos.
Oh yeah, I don't want to go to Salvadorian prison. Yeah, that sounds bad. Sounds very bad.
Well, if McCormack could show his, you can probably show yours as well.
Hopefully, yeah, he'll be the canary in the gold mine.
Just don't shave your head.
Oh, canaries in
Oh
gold.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know what any metrics they use to find people that they don't want on the streets.
Well, it's probably not you.
Yeah, hopefully not. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to El Salvador. It's I think it's like a 36-hour flight with 2 layovers.
Oh,
insane! I've never
really.
Yes,
I think you can just fly from Miami, like a 3-hour flight or something from Miami. Or
I'm going to Frankfurt first, I think, and then stopping in Washington D.C. for like a 9-hour layover.
Yeah, Knut, Ioni doesn't live in Miami.
Yeah, that's true. Also, Knut, I don't live in Miami.
No,
I don't know how well that's not where I live.
Okay. Yeah. I must have mixed up Miami and that village in Småland.
Yeah. You got too many cool friends. You're mixing up Mudborn.
Well, what else can we say about what else can we say about the movie? Is there anything else to say? No, I just urge people to go and watch it, and I'm eager to hear what you think.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't seen our the Oppenheimer movie, go see it. It's a fantastic piece. And then, of course, also watch our YouTube video. It's equally good.
Yeah, if not better.
If not better.
It's not overly convoluted, is it? Anyway, the point we're trying to get across in the movie is sort of like powerful technologies in the hands of the wrong people is the worst thing ever. Which is what the scientific process that led up to the atomic bomb is not the problem. It's the people who got their hands on it and decided to bomb people with it. And the thing with Bitcoin is that it removes those hands from the equation entirely. Like there's no way that Bitcoin can ever end up in the hands of the wrong people, because it's for the people, by the people, and of the people. First and foremost,
and the people are retarded.
The users are in charge. The people are retarded. Yes, we've heard that quote, but it doesn't matter for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is for retards as well.
It's for any pre-coiners out there, or people who haven't really delved into the Bitcoin rabbit hole as deeply as we may have. There's one argument or one idea that often arises somewhere along the way, and it is that, isn't Bitcoin going to help criminals? So that would be Bitcoin ending up in sort of the wrong hands. And maybe we can just address that question, because it is, I think that is a major concern for a lot of people. And what we should say here is that, like, whenever it comes to technology, there's always new technology. There's always this repeating pattern throughout history where people are going to say it's impossible. Then they're going to say it's too expensive. Then they're going to say it can't be done, or that nobody needs it. And then we realize it changed the world. Like, what do you have to say about that? Like the fact that criminals are going to use Bitcoin?
Well, I would flip the question and say, like, what's fiat for then? Because fiat is literally it's made by criminals. It's made by people who can print more of it at will, and that's a crime in itself. Like, that's the worst crime imaginable, because that's stealing lifetime from everyone on Earth by running a money printer. So I would say the question, like this comes from a flawed view of what a crime is, and it's crime according to the fiat paradigm, and it's not crime according to natural law or first principles thinking. In my opinion, there is no such thing as a victimless crime. The crime requires someone to violate someone else's property. Otherwise, it's not a crime, in my opinion. And that's...
Yeah, so in that sense, Bitcoin actually protects against crime because you...
Yeah, absolutely, even. Because...
violate other people's property.
Yeah, so Bitcoin is anti-crime, anti-real crime. It's it gives you property rights so that people can't take your stuff. And
to make the argument a little bit more nuanced, you would also have to say that whenever there's a new technology that is powerful, that criminals are going to use it. That they will. When we invented the telephone, they would use that for scamming people. When we invented the car, they would use that to rob banks. When the internet came along, they would use that for all kinds of criminal activities. And Bitcoin is the best money that the world has ever seen. Obviously, it's going to be used by everybody, but the net positive is always going to outweigh the negative with these new technological leaps.
The most heinous crimes ever committed were committed by governments. Like this is the crime that Bitcoin stops. It stops the worst form of crime, which is the crime on top. It stops the so-called elites, which is another name for the most efficient thief, from committing their types of crime. Can you formulate that better, Luke?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you're both getting at really core parts of this here. I mean, I was going to make a joke at some point with the whole Bitcoin is in the hands of Bitcoiners. Oh no, and it's kind of like from this side of the table, it really just doesn't seem relevant that criminals are going to have Bitcoin. It's like, well, yeah, everyone gets to have Bitcoin, and I mean the thing about it too is that all of this anti-money laundering and crime and all this stuff is like, first of all, what are the restrictions actually getting at, right? Governments don't want money laundering because they don't want to lose out on control and tax income and all this, basically. But on the other hand, I mean, if there's someone out there committing a crime, as in, I mean, my definition is that someone is taking someone else's property in some way. That's basically crime.
That's including their body. Like,
yes, yes, yeah, and
I think that is very important and clever. Sorry for just interrupting, but that is very important, because when we Bitcoiners, we have a certain type of jargon, and we know that there's subtext to the types of words that we use. So when we say property, we're not referring to our house necessarily.
We're referring to our relationship with our house, though, and the relationship between us and our bodies. So
yes, so everything that you possess ownership over, everything that is yours, that is property. Whether that is your integrity, your body, your ideas, your money, your possessions, whatever that is your property. And Bitcoin helps us protect that, because for the first time in human history, we have property that cannot be violated.
Right. And the thing about that too is that if someone is committing crimes and they're getting gains from this, profit, whatever, and they're using Bitcoin, well, Bitcoin, it's not Bitcoin's fault. They'd be using the regular fiat rails anyway. They would be using cash. They would be using whatever means there is. The Bitcoin doesn't solve crime, but it does make it a heck of a lot harder for people to take that specific type of stored value.
Yeah, to me, it's a bit like saying, "Oh, we can't use language because criminals will use language." Like we can't use English because criminals use English. That to me, that's the same thing. We must ban mathematics and English and a couple of programming languages while we're at it, because criminals will use them. Like this is such a weird way of looking at the world.
It's weird to us, Knut, but we have to be respectful of the fact that people who are new to Bitcoin may not have the same. They haven't done the journeys that we have.
Think of the alternative going into the future. Think of CBDCs, for instance, when if all cash is banned and someone has a money printer, and also every single transaction of every single human being is being monitored by some Orwellian institution. Like, to me, that's an absolute nightmare. And the way to get away from that in the internet age is Bitcoin. It's not cash. So going forward, we can either choose the orange glowing light and freedom and everything's dandy, or we can choose clown world and more Orwell. And to me, that's it's the simplest choice ever.
It is. And I hope a few no-coiners or pre-coiners are listening to this and get to see the logic here, because I think that's you framed it excellently.
And I guess to put a bow on this of some degree, it's kind of a case of that Bitcoin will hopefully, we think so, reduce the incentive to commit crime. Not even just because it becomes hard to take Bitcoin, because Bitcoin isn't the only thing that is important. Other things are still people's possessions, their body, their family, whatever. But hopefully the prosperity brought about by adopting Bitcoin worldwide is going to increase the ability to live without violating another human being. And of course, there's still going to be violent people, psychopaths who just ignore all social norms and all this. But when it's a smaller number to deal with, well, maybe that becomes easier to handle as a society. So,
yeah,
still
prosperity is the best way out of a world filled with criminals.
Still, the way to psychopaths are most dangerous when put in positions of power, and to me, Bitcoin puts a restraint on that phenomenon. Like, there's the more money we take out of the old system and into the new one, the harder it becomes to gamify the old system and get into positions of power by suspicious political means instead of by providing value to your fellow human beings. Like, the only way to get someone's Bitcoin, really, if stored properly, is to provide them with something of value back. And the more we do that with one another, the more power goes away from the old system, where you can extract value by playing political games and by appealing to authority, by other means than providing something of value back, which is a crime in itself, in my opinion.
Okay, well, maybe we've reached the end of that particular line of discussion, and you know what? I don't want to over kind of push this. Ioni, anything else on your mind? Anything else you're thinking about or up to that you'd like to share with the world at this stage?
These past few weeks, there's been so much going on in my head that I'm barely able to keep a conversation because so much is going on. Honestly, I'm enjoying this all immensely. Writing, guesting podcasts, and now starting my own, all of this is a bit, it takes a toll, and it has been a bit overwhelming. And I just can't wait to have the skills to make the type of life that I'm leading right now easy. I'm really looking forward to that, to being that future version of myself. But yeah, I have, like, I would just love to have a good AI assistant that sorts all of my documents and sorts all of my ideas into spreadsheets and into documents that so I can actually use, and I don't have to sort through everything every time I want to start or work on a new project, because at this point it's all kind of messy, but I'm enjoying it. It's fun to being in this this whirlpool of just stuff going on. But yeah, so what is going on? Well, I hope that a lot of people are, that more and more people are going to start going to conferences, because as we have observed, there's a lot of the same faces most of the time. And I hope that we will see more and more conferences, like not just the ones that already have made a name for themselves, but for more people to actually start organizing conferences, and for them to grow into something that is pre-coiner friendly, so that people can actually bring their entire families. We need things for kids to do at our conferences. We need all kinds of entrepreneurs going there and pushing their products, but like doing it in a Bitcoin immersive way, so that they're actually like, we should have other types of entrepreneurs there accepting Bitcoin, pushing their product or whatever. We should expand these conferences, because like in the early beginning, when Bitcoin first came about, the circle was very small. It was just a group of cypherpunks. Then the circle expanded to include programmers. And then the circle expanded even more to include economists and libertarians. And now it has grown to include people like me, people who just like to think about the future and the philosophy behind Bitcoin. And this circle is now expanding even further to include people who just want to enjoy a better form of money. And I think that should be reflected in the way that we work with Bitcoin, in the way that we host conferences.
I think it is, though, to a large extent. For this is the perfect segue to Shilling Bitcoin Atlantis, of course, which has on Madeira in March, which has a kids-friendly area, and all of that is very family-oriented. And Madeirans themselves get in for practically free, or it's at least a lot cheaper for them, because they want the locals to learn about this thing. And also the meetup scene, especially in Germany, but really everywhere, is getting a bit of momentum. In Germany, it's really big. It's there's a regular meetup in every major German city at this point. And when I flew back to Sweden in June, I turned on Orangepill app, and I found a lot of stuff going on there. Like there are meetups. Meetups are happening, even in tiny little Sweden, where there were practically no meetups a couple of years back. And I mean, there seems to be a momentum here, gradually then suddenly.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Knut. Like as you said, the meetup scene is really growing. That is probably where we have most momentum right now. It's certainly not in Bitcoin price where we have the most momentum at the moment, but it's probably the meetup scene. Yeah, that's an interesting observation.
Yeah, and I think another thing here is that when you mention kids and families and all this, like there have been loads of pregnancy announcements on Twitter and everything, and Bitcoiners make more kids. I've minted one. Mine will be coming in February. All looks like signs are pointing towards that going well. So I'm allowed to escape to Madeira just shortly afterwards, but my wife isn't happy about that. But yeah, it's optimistic, and I love seeing that family, like the perspective change. I think I'm starting to think about all this stuff about what's different about being a Bitcoiner when I'm going to be a dad and all this. And I like seeing that kids are getting involved and doing things, and many of them from honestly quite a young age are starting to do stuff on their own. And I mean, a big shout out to the Princey clan and to Sam DeWall and all this, and I'm sure there's going to be more and more kids as there are more kids born to Bitcoiners, and I'm just excited for that. So.
Yeah, and Bitcoin's for everyone, so there's no lower age limit. You just have to get it, and then you can use it. Like there are ways for smart kids, to make money from way earlier than before. Then way earlier at a way lower age than what the banking system allows for.
And I can't imagine seeing like the younger generations now going through the hurdles of getting going into a bank and getting their accounts and all of that. I mean, when the Bitcoin infrastructure is properly in place, easy enough to use for everybody, when everything is just engineered into the background, I can't imagine the younger generations putting up with the BS of the banking system, of the fiat system.
No, I mean, I urge everyone to want to get a glimpse of the future to try to open a Spanish bank account, because that really shows you how outdated the fiat world really is. It's absolutely ridiculous. QR code, please.
Yes, QR code, please. We also have to remember that we live in a part of the world where we have access to the best financial services in the entire world.
Yeah, and they suck.
And they suck. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. I think maybe. Yeah. Let's tie this one off. It's been fun hanging out for the last 45 minutes or so, Ioni, and all the good things coming from you, with you. I'm excited for that. You were basically I can't remember now if it was your first or second guest. So we are actually due to have you on for like a so-called proper episode.
A proper one.
But we'll do that. We'll do that soon enough. But this is fun kicking off this special little thing where we're just hanging out with our friends. So. Yeah,
it's a bit of a shameless chill circle jerk episode, but you're gonna have to bear with us here, because we're proud of our little movie and we want people to see it. So yeah,
Knut keeps calling it a 100%. Movie, so he thinks very highly of it.
All right, well, a very short movie.
With that, I think let's end that here. Shout out again to Izzy and Amber App.
We should mention Geyser Fund. We both. We have Geyser funds for both the Freedom Footprint Show and for Ioni's little movies, 21 million videos on Geyser, and Freedom on Geyser, if you want to shoot some sats.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming, Ioni, and thanks to you for watching or listening. This has been the Freedom Footprint Show and friends. All right, that's it.